This is Whisper from History, where forgotten voices rise again. There are places where silence itself begins to scream, and Scotland's Overtoun Bridge may be one of them. Stay till the end, because that's where the real terror begins. They called it Overtoun Bridge, a graceful arc of stone rising above a narrow Scottish ravine. Built in 1895 near the quiet town of Dumbarton, it looked like something out of a fairy tale moss-covered, surrounded by rolling green hills and the occasional mist drifting down from the highlands. But for all its beauty, the bridge carried a reputation that was anything but charming. For over half a century, locals whispered a chilling name, the Bridge of Death, not for humans, but for dogs, hundreds of them. Since the 1950s, dogs have been leaping from the same side of this bridge, the same spot, over and over again. Some survive with broken bones, trembling and disoriented. Others don't. The stories piled up, one after another, until no one could ignore it. Why did so many animals choose to end their lives here? And what secret did this bridge hold? At first glance, Overtoun House and its surrounding estate had nothing sinister about them. The mansion had belonged to the White family, who had invested in chemical industries during the Victorian boom. John White, the industrialist, had dreamed of building a country estate that would stand for centuries. The bridge was part of that vision, a connecting path to the estate grounds. It was sturdy, carefully crafted with rough-cut granite. Its parapets rose high enough to make the drop unseen until you were nearly upon it. Below flowed the Overtoun Burn, a stream that cut through jagged rocks before disappearing into the wooded glen. Nothing about it seemed cursed, and yet, in time, it would become one of the most unsettling mysteries in Scotland's modern history. The first cases emerged quietly. Farmers from the nearby village would pass the bridge with their sheepdogs, only to find the animals behaving strangely. Ears perked, tails rigid, bodies trembling as they approached the parapet. Then, in a heartbeat, they would leap. Not stumble, not fall, leap. Witnesses insisted the motion was deliberate. By the 1960s, stories of these jumps became a strange local legend. But it wasn't until newspapers picked up the tale in the 1990s that the phenomenon spread beyond Scotland. Headlines called it the bridge where dogs commit suicide. The wording was sensational, but the deaths were very real. One particularly haunting account came from 1995. A man named Kenneth Meikle was walking across the bridge with his wife and their golden retriever. It was a bright day, nothing unusual. But as they reached the parapet, the dog suddenly bolted, sprang onto the wall, and hurled itself over without hesitation. Meikle and his wife screamed as the animal plummeted 50 feet into the rocky ravine below. Somehow, the retriever survived, bruised and bloodied, but alive. Crawling down into the ravine, Meikle retrieved the trembling dog. Yet he later swore, if he hadn't restrained the animal afterward, it would have tried to jump again. Why? This was not an isolated incident. By the late 1990s, reports claimed as many as 600 dogs had jumped. The numbers varied, some said closer to 300, others 450. No official count existed, but the consistency of reports was chilling. Even stranger, nearly all the jumps occurred from the same side of the bridge. Always the right-hand side, always between the last two parapets, always toward the same patch of trees below. Coincidence, or something darker? The people of Dumbarton grew uneasy. The bridge, once just a stone path to a grand estate, was now whispered about like a place of haunting, and the legends began to take root. Some claimed the grounds were cursed, that Overtoun House was built on ancient Celtic land, once used for sacrifices. Others said the veil between life and death was thin here, and that dogs more sensitive than humans could sense the pull of the other world. There was even a tale of the White Lady of Overtoun, a ghost said to wander the estate, dressed in mourning black. Some swore their dogs leaped because they saw her, but legends can only explain so much. Scientists wanted answers. In 2005, a Scottish animal behaviorist named Dr. David Sands set out to study the bridge. Sands had spent years researching animal psychology and was skeptical of supernatural claims. He wanted to know, were these jumps a result of something natural, something physical, something environmental? His first observation was the bridge's design. The parapets, rising nearly shoulder-high to a medium dog, blocked the animal's view of the drop below. From a dog's perspective, it looked like solid ground continuing into the woods. A sudden burst of excitement, perhaps, chasing a scent could easily propel them over the edge before realizing their mistake. But that didn't explain why it always happened at the same spot. To investigate further, Sands conducted a simple but revealing test. He placed several scents around the bridge, from food to wildlife to animal droppings. And then he released dogs one by one to see which scent drew them in. The results were striking. Nearly every dog ignored the food. Instead, they went straight for the scent of mink. Minks, small weasel-like creatures, had been introduced to the area decades earlier. Their scent glands released a musky odor that drove dogs, especially hunting breeds, into a frenzy. And where, exactly, did mink tend to nest? Near the right-hand side of the bridge, in the undergrowth by the last two parapets. The pieces began to fit, but even with this explanation, something about the phenomenon refused to settle. Yes, mink scent could lure a dog, but could it really cause hundreds of them to leap without hesitation? Could it explain why some, after surviving, would attempt to jump again, as though compelled by an unseen force? The mystery deepened in 1994, when a tragedy struck, not an animal, but a human. A man named Kevin Moy carried his infant son to the bridge one gray October day. Struggling with severe mental illness, Moy believed his child was the Antichrist. In a moment of madness, he threw the baby from Overtoun Bridge. The infant did not survive. It was one of the darkest moments in the estate's history, and for locals, it cemented the bridge's reputation as cursed. Not only did animals leap, but the bridge had now claimed the life of a child. In the years that followed, the bridge became a destination for curiosity seekers. Paranormal investigators arrived with cameras and meters, hoping to capture evidence of ghosts. Tourists came, some with dogs in tow, drawn by the dark legend. Signs were posted at either end. Please keep your dogs on a lead. But the deaths continued. Even now, locals swear that some dogs seem entranced as they cross. They stiffen, pull, and strain toward the parapet. Their owners, sensing the danger, hold on tightly. Some succeed. Others are not so lucky. So what is the truth of Overtoun Bridge? The rational explanation, the scent of mink, the deceptive design of the bridge makes sense on paper. It satisfies the need for science to explain the unexplainable. And yet, when you stand there, surrounded by silence, looking down into the misty ravine, it feels incomplete. Because legends are not only born from facts, they are born from the way a place makes people feel. And here, at Overtoun, there is a weight, a heaviness that settles on the shoulders, the kind that makes even humans pause and wonder if the ground beneath their feet is entirely safe. Is it possible that what happens here is more than nature, more than chance? That the dogs sense something we cannot? Perhaps. But perhaps the greater truth is this: Overtoun Bridge has become a mirror for human fears, a place where grief, tragedy, and unexplained death collide, where every leap of a dog becomes a story, whispered in pubs, retold in newspapers, reshaped into legend. And legends, once born, are hard to silence. To this day, Overtoun Bridge stands gray stone against the rolling green, silent and still. Cars pass nearby, Children play in Dumbarton, life moves on. But on quiet afternoons, when a dog stiffens at the parapet, its owner clutching the lead with nervous fingers, the question still hangs in the air. Why here? Why always here? And as the mist rolls down the hills and shadows lengthen across the bridge, some say you can almost feel it, that invisible pull. The same pull that has claimed hundreds of lives. The same pull that ensures Overtoun Bridge will forever be known as the bridge where every shadow jumps. Overtoun Bridge still stands, cloaked in mist, silence, and an unsettling heaviness. And whenever a dog approaches its parapet, one question rises: why always here? If this story has stirred fear inside you, don't forget to subscribe to Whisper from History, and tell us in the comments, why do you think the dogs leap?